Here in this video, we're going to talk about why most agency tech purchases fail and how to avoid it. Did you know that 70% of agency technology purchases become expensive paperweights within just 6 months? Now, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this happens and how to avoid the most common technology pitfalls in your agency. Now, this video is part 1 of a 3-part series and training course here on YouTube. It's a bit of an introduction piece and sets everything else up that we're going to dive into on the tactical side in the next 2 videos inside this playlist. Now, I don't recommend skipping ahead because this will set the foundation for all the tactics that we're going to discuss. Hi, my name is Nicholas Ayers, and as a writing and insurance agent between 2006 and 2020, I've watched our industry go through wave after wave of technological change, and I've made every mistake possible, but more importantly, I like to think I've learned how to get it right. Let me share a quick story from the year 2016 that changed everything for me. I had just invested thousands of dollars in Infusionsoft, which at the time was the Ferrari of marketing automation. The demo was incredible, but something familiar happened. My staff absolutely hated it. Not a mild annoyance, we're talking about that special kind of hatred reserved for technology that makes their jobs harder instead of easier. Since the year 2016, nothing's really changed. Every day we're bombarded with messages about digital transformation from the carriers, the insurtech companies, even our customers. They're asking for it. But here's what nobody's talking about. It's the gap between buying technology and actually transforming your agency by implementing it. Now, in my experience, there are 3 major myths that cause most of the pain. Myth 1 is the "if we buy it, they will use it" myth. When the reality is that tech adoption is more about change management, not features and functions. Your team isn't resistant to technology. They're resistant to chaos. The second myth is the "we're too small to need a tech strategy," when the reality is that the smaller your agency is, the more critical it is to get tech right, because frankly, you can't afford expensive mistakes. And myth 3 is the "all these new tools will make us more efficient." But the reality is that without the right implementation strategy, more tools often mean more complexity, not less. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched another agent, perhaps at a conference or in a Facebook group or in your mastermind, adopt some new technology and immediately you felt that pit in your stomach and that voice asking, "Are we falling behind?" That feeling, that's what vendors prey on, the one that drives rushed decisions and unused subscriptions. But here's the good news. Over the next few minutes and over the course of these 3 videos, I'm going to show you how to replace that anxiety with confidence. We're going to build a framework that helps you, 1, spot the difference between game-changing trends and expensive distractions. 2, we're going to evaluate any technology based on your agency's specific needs. And 3rd, we're going to show you how to roll out new tools in a way that your team will actually embrace. It all starts with understanding what I call the tech decision triangle. Now, the tech decision triangle is not complicated. In fact, its power lies in its simplicity. Every tech decision that you make, it needs to balance 3 critical elements. First is strategic fit. Second is the implementation reality. And 3rd is the long-term sustainability. Let's start with strategic fit. This isn't about whether or not a tool looks good or has impressive features. Today, they all do. It's about answering one fundamental question. Will this solve a real problem that my agency is facing right now? Here's a quick example. Let's say a vendor is pitching you an AI-powered email automation system. Sounds pretty impressive, right? But if your current challenge is that your team isn't consistently logging client interactions in your existing CRM, then adding another layer of automation might actually make things worse. The second side of the triangle is the implementation reality. And this is where most technology initiatives go to die. Not because the tech is bad, but because we underestimate what real implementation looks like. I want you to think about your agency for just a moment. How many of these things sound familiar? You've got one person who kinda knows how to use a tool. Or maybe that's different team members who use the same tool but differently. Or you have workflows that exist but only in people's heads. Implementation reality means you've got to be brutally honest about your team's capacity for change, your available training resources, and your timeline expectations. The final side of our triangle is the long-term sustainability. And this is where we ask the tough questions. You got to begin asking things like, can we maintain this solution over time? Or what happens when key people leave? You've got to know how this fits into your long-term tech ecosystem. And also, you need to ask, What happens when they sell the company? Now here's how this framework will prevent expensive mistakes. Before any new tech purchase, you need all three sides of this triangle to align. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine you're considering a new client portal solution for your agency. Here's how you'd apply the triangle. First is with the strategic fit. You're gonna ask questions like, do I have enough clients that create enough inbound service so that I feel the pain of high service costs? Or will this solve a real bottleneck in our service process? The second side, again, is the implementation reality. So you're gonna ask, who's gonna manage the rollout? Or you're gonna ask, how will we train our clients to use it? Or perhaps, what's our timeline for full adoption? And the third, the one everything has to align around, is the long-term sustainability. You're gonna ask, how does this integrate with our other systems? Or what are we gonna do for ongoing maintenance requirements? Or how scalable is this solution as we grow? Now that we understand our basic framework, let's get very tactical. Here in the next video, I'm gonna share 10 crucial questions that you need to ask your tech vendors before you buy anything, questions that will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and countless headaches. But more importantly, I'll explain why each question matters and what to listen for in the answers. If you haven't seen the video pop up on the screen, you can find the link in the description here on YouTube. But make sure you bring your notepad, and I'll see you in the next video.